on these two names in particular. Both of them have businesses outside the US. Are you concerned at all about earnings when it comes to these two names and the rest of the tech space when it comes to the dollar up 3% this month alone? A lot of that due to the election, and also yields that, despite the Fed rate cuts, they have not gone back down.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's something where we got to see where it goes in 2025. Right now, I think guidance and street models are pretty well positioned in terms of some of those headwinds. Obviously, that could continue to maybe be a bit of an issue. But the reality is that the street already right now is almost, they know what's coming on the horizon. And if you look at the growth and just the overall tailwinds, this is going to be an asterisk. And I just don't see that in any way. We continue about it's 9:30, 10 p.m. at the AI part. It was 9 p.m. till 4 a.m. That's not stopping it. Because now software, they're in that line behind the velvet ropes, along with the hyperscalers and Nvidia and others.
Dan Ives highlighted the massive growth potential of AI in software, naming Snowflake and Elastic as top picks set to thrive by 2025. Despite recent stock gains, he believes the AI revolution in software is just beginning, driven by strong consumption models. While acknowledging concerns like a strong dollar and higher rates, Ives sees minimal near-term impact on tech earnings. He emphasized that the AI party is far from over, with software companies joining major players like Nvidia in driving innovation. Ives also discussed reduced regulation and government focus on AI as tailwinds for tech growth. He expressed strong confidence in Palantir, predicting it could become a major force like Salesforce, fueled by AI-driven expansion.
We've been talking about this for a while. We always talk tech. We talk pretty much every Monday and just bring it to everybody. We're going to call this 5 with Ives. If you've ever seen Unc and Ocho on Nightcap, similar setup. It's me and my man Dan talking, and we're going to keep ourselves honest. It's going to be rapid fire, 5 minutes. I'm breaking out the clock right now, Dan.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's keep us to it. Let's do this.
Right, let's start off with your note today. AI picks in the software space, bullish call on AI and software. Your two picks for us today on the show, they were Elastic and also Snowflake. Both of those stocks have run up more than 20% since earnings last week. Why would you buy these stocks now?
Yeah, and look, Frank, I mean, me and you have talked about it for a long time. When you think about AI revolution, the next phase is software. 2025 is going to be the age for software AI. Snowflake, Elastic, front and center. And despite, like, obviously stock, had a good run, over the last week or two, that's just the appetizer. In terms of how as this all plays out, we could be looking at parabolic moves in both those names, given our checks. These consumption models just starting. And look, it also speaks to what we're seeing just across software, from ServiceNow to Salesforce, Palantir, and others, just to begin and get the popcorn out.
All right, we got a lot to talk about, but one thing I want to touch on before we get to the rest of it, the impact of the stronger dollar and also what's been a pattern of higher rates. Well, that was my next question. We're talking about this incoming administration. President-elect Trump has named Scott Bessent as his pick for Treasury. Obviously, still has to be confirmed. But if confirmed, somebody with this kind of a global view, someone who used to work with George Soros, even though ideologically, Trump administration and President-elect Trump's very different than George Soros. What do you think he means for the tech sector?
I think also he's a proponent of AI. And I think if you look at him coming in, that would be just another smart strategic whisper for the Trump administration. I also think globally, he's someone that could be very important, especially when it comes to some of the China tariff discussions and others. He's street friendly. He's more deregulatory. And in my opinion, it's just more music to the ears of this tech bull trade. Fire continues to really be the sort of theme in terms of where I see tech market.
That was your word of the day on Worldwide Exchange today. By the way, just keeping ourselves honest, we're about 5.5 minutes. We're going to wrap it up right there. The first 5 with Ives, my man, the legend.
Just the first of many. Cannot wait.
The legend himself. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Dan.
Tyler Matheson, thank you very much for the news update. Meanwhile, Nvidia is making a somewhat unusual move, releasing a new AI audio generator today that they're calling Fugato. Deirdre Bosa joins us for today's Tech Check. And Dee, how does this move fit into the company's larger AI strategy? It's now a product and not just the infrastructure that goes into it.
Exactly. It raises a lot of questions, which I'm going to get to. But first, I want to show you this thing. Fugato is the type of generative AI product that I can't just tell you about it. You have to actually listen to it yourself. This is what it spat out in the demo when the user prompted it to create a saxophone howling, barking, then electronic music with dogs barking. that is a strange but entirely new, never heard before sound that is meant to bring new synthetic capabilities to music, film, and games. If you want to try it for yourself though, you're out of luck. Nvidia has no plans to release this publicly, begging the question, why even do it in the first place? Nvidia is not known as a consumer product company, and there are plenty of other things that it can focus on, like the rollout of Blackwell. Well, the answer is that moonshotty projects like Fugato and Project Shield in the early 2010s, they've helped Nvidia stay relevant for decades and evolve into the hardware, software, AI powerhouse that it is today. The company has a long history of creating products that are meant to inspire its customers to create new products themselves or lay the groundwork for its own breakthroughs. Take DGX, that's its supercomputer in a box for AI tasks. It was actually created in part from learnings from a Shield streaming box. It would get Nvidia familiar with supply chain management and software hardware integration, so critical to the modern day Nvidia. Jensen Huang recently spoke about this on a podcast with the ARM CEO, Renee Haas. At the time, they say it was utterly unobvious that there was a market fit for this project field.
It was my excuse to turn NVIDIA into a systems company.
Yeah.
And people will ask me, the DGX1, which is the computer that changed everything.
Right.
Well, how did that come about? Well, DGX1 is just a very large shield.
The computer that changed everything started as a set-top stop, and now DGX, of course, is a cornerstone of the NVIDIA ecosystem. These moonshots, though, Dom, they do become a little bit more complicated in the age of generative AI because, of course, these models have to be trained on something, usually someone else's creation or IP that creates the potential for misuse. And this is something that NVIDIA acknowledges and says that's why there's no immediate plans to release it. But the point here, Dom, why we're even talking about this is that NVIDIA has this history of creating products. We don't even know what the end game is right now, but someone else could figure it out. NVIDIA itself could figure it out, but we are in the age of audio generative AI, and this is an interesting development.
All right, so the party keeps going. You're not worried about currency in a significant way, at least not for Q4.
Not for Q4. As we go into next year, maybe we're talking like a small little headwind, but the reality is I think that's just going to be a rounding error.
All right, let's keep rolling to your note. Another notable part of your note, your price target on Palantir was 57. You're now up to 75. The consensus on the street's about 37. You're double the street consensus. This is a stock, Dan, that's gone up more than 270% year to date. Where does the rest of this upside come from? Get granular. Where's the rest of this upside come from? Because there's a lot of people who are Palantir investors or fans of Dr. Karp. I know you spent some time with the company yourself.
Look, the haters will continue to hate on this one, but I think when you talk about who are the companies that could be the next Salesforce, next Oracle, next SAP, I think it's Palantir. I mean, when you get granular, AIP, we're talking about something that could ultimately be, sub 30 million in revs, that could be $1 billion of revenues per year as this all plays out. You start to do the math on that, you're not talking about $1 billion of free cash flow. Next 3-4 years, you're talking about $5 billion. I think $75, to be honest with you, is conservative. I'd be very surprised if we don't see a triple-digit stock in Palantir, and that's why the conviction level is high, in terms of everything we see, especially going into 2025.
So I know you've been bullish about this new administration, not politically, but the idea of less regulation when it comes to the tech sector, the idea that Lina Khan will probably not be at the FTC. I think that's almost a given that she won't stay in that post. When it comes to less regulation, is that a tailwind for Palantir? Is that a tailwind for Snowflake's and Elastic? And if so, be granular. How?
It's a great question. Look, it's bullish because there's going to be more deal making. You're going to see also on the government side a lot more focus on AI in terms of projects within the government. That's going to be bullish for Snow, bullish for Palantir, bullish for names like Elastic and others. And I just think less regulation in this fourth industrial revolution. It's a sort of golden combination in terms of where we see us heading. And I think for tech investors, it's really a Goldilocks scenario. And I think that is bullish what we're seeing from the belly, even with the Besson. You're talking about a street-friendly, tech-knowledgeable individual that will now be in treasury.
Dan Ives highlights the immense growth potential of AI-driven software, naming Snowflake, Elastic, and Palantir as key players in the ongoing tech revolution. He sees minimal impact from market challenges like a strong dollar, emphasizing that reduced regulation and government focus on AI are driving the sector forward. As innovation continues, Ives remains confident in software and AI's central role in shaping the future of technology. Do you agree with his optimistic outlook on AI-driven software? Which companies do you think will lead the AI revolution? Share your thoughts.